right? So you wanted to get inside the mind of Chris Langan, right? The guy people call the smartest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we dove deep into this interview where he really opens up about his life and his theories,
Yeah.
like his whole worldview.
It's fascinating.
It really is. And we were talking everything from metaphysics to money cancel culture to consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
He even talks about aliens.
It's all in there.
I mean, the really interesting thing is he's not some professor in an ivory tower,
Yeah.
or a billionaire tech genius.
Yeah.
This guy's a rancher.
Yeah.
He chose a really different path, prioritizing meaning over those typical markers of success.
It's true. And I think that choice right there really challenges our assumptions of what smart even means.
Yeah.
Like he talks about working as a bouncer, facing intellectual prejudice in academia,
Oh,
and making a conscious decision to step away from chasing wealth.
interesting.
Yeah. Instead, he dedicated his life to these intellectual pursuits.
Yeah.
And he did it all while living this simple life. He even lived in a sheep wagon for a while.
A sheep wagon.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like piecing together this groundbreaking theory of everything
Right.
while living in a sheep wagon?
Yeah. It speaks volumes about his drive
Yeah.
to understand, the fundamental nature of reality.
Yeah.
And speaking of that theory of everything,
Right.
it's called the Cognitive-Theoretic Model of the Universe, or CTMU for short.
Right. CTMU.
It's a pretty complex idea.
Yeah.
But he does a good job of explaining it in a way that I think is accessible,
Okay.
even if you don't have a background in physics or philosophy.
So how does he do that? How does he manage to distill such a complex theory
Right.
into something understandable?
Well, he tries to bridge the gap between different fields of study,
Okay.
like logic and language, physics, math. He sees them as interconnected.
So not separate disciplines.
Yeah, it's like he's looking for this universal language
Wow.
that can describe all of reality.
That's a pretty ambitious goal.
Definitely.
So what are some of the specific ways that he actually connects these seemingly different fields?
Well, he uses this concept of self-referential systems.
Self-referential.
Yeah, basically systems that can describe themselves.
Okay.
He argues that both the universe and human consciousness have this self-referential quality.
So give me an example of that.
Okay, think of it like a computer program that can analyze and modify its own code.
Okay. I'm starting to see how that could connect things.
Yeah.
But how does all of this lead to his belief in God?
Right.
Like, that seems like a big leap.
It's definitely a bold claim.
Yeah.
But he argues that the very properties of reality,
Okay.
specifically its self-referential nature, point towards a being with the qualities we ascribe to God.
Like omniscience.
Omnipotent, omnipresence.
So he's not just relying on faith or scripture.
Right.
He's using this theory of the universe
Exact.
to make a logical argument.
He believes that his CTMU provides a framework
Okay.
for understanding reality that logically necessitates a creator. And this is where things get really interesting because he even delves into the nature of consciousness
Okay.
and its relationship to God.
This I have to hear.
Yeah.
So what is his take on consciousness?
Right.
Like, does he align with any existing theories out there?
He has a very unique perspective.
Okay.
He believes that consciousness isn't limited to just humans or even living beings.
Okay.
He argues that it exists everywhere in the universe, even in inanimate objects.
Wait, hold on. So he's saying that this table we're sitting at has some level of consciousness.
That's right. He uses the analogy of a spectrum
Okay.
with human consciousness at one end and the consciousness of, say, a rock at the other.
Wow.
He sees it all as part of this interconnected web of existence,
Okay.
with God as this ultimate source of consciousness.
Okay. This is definitely challenging my assumptions about consciousness.
Yeah.
So then how does this tie into the concept of free will?
Oh, okay.
Like, if everything is connected to God in this way,
Right.
does he think we have genuine choice?
He argues that his view of consciousness actually supports the existence of free will.
Interesting.
He challenges the deterministic view that everything is just a chain of cause and effect,
Okay.
that we're just puppets of fate.
Right.
Instead, he proposes something called meta-causation.
Metacausation.
Yeah,
That sounds pretty complex.
it is. But essentially, he's suggesting that causation isn't just linear
Okay.
from past to present to future.
Mm.
He believes there's this feedback loop where the future can also influence the past, allowing for genuine choice and the ability to shape our own destinies.
So like a cosmic conversation between the past, present, and future.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating concept.
Mhm.
But if everything is ultimately connected to God,
Right.
how does he reconcile that with the existence of evil and suffering in the world?
Well, he doesn't shy away from addressing those darker aspects of existence.
Okay.
He talks about death, heaven, and hell.
Oh, okay.
And his views might surprise you.
Let's hear it. What's his take on the afterlife? Does he believe in a literal heaven and hell?
He believes that individuals persist after death.
Okay.
But he argues that where you end up depends on your relationship with God and the choices you make in life.
Okay, so is he talking about fire and brimstone?
Right.
What's his vision of hell like?
He describes hell not as a physical place of punishment, but more as a state of being, a self-created world of evil.
Oh, wow.
Inhabited by those who've rejected God.
So that aligns with some of those classic representations.
Yeah.
Dante's Inferno, Milton's Paradise Lost.
Exactly. It's an interesting take. Creating your own personal hell through your actions.
That's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
So does he elaborate on how this rejection of God actually manifests in people's lives?
He dives into the roles of Lucifer and Satan.
Okay.
And that's where his interpretation gets particularly interesting.
Okay.
Because he actually distinguishes between the two.
Okay.
Which is a departure from the traditional view that they're one and the same.
All right, I'm really intrigued now. What's the distinction?
He describes Lucifer as the angel of light.
Okay.
This being who walks this fine line between good and evil. And he sees Lucifer as a necessary force.
Okay.
One that enables humanity's capacity for both great good and terrible evil.
So Lucifer's like a cosmic catalyst.
Yeah.
Pushing us to make choices.
Right.
To experience that full spectrum of human potential.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
He contrasts Lucifer with Satan, who he describes as the antithesis of God.
Right.
A force of chaos and destruction that lacks coherence and relies on human actions to gain power in the world.
So Satan's like a parasite.
Exactly.
Feeding off of our negative choices and amplifying them.
Yeah, and this is where Langan starts to connect these spiritual ideas to his views on the current state of the world.
Okay.
He expresses a deep concern about globalism, viewing it as a system that's designed to erode national sovereignty and ultimately control every aspect of human life.
That's a pretty strong statement.
It is.
So does he offer any specifics about who's behind this alleged globalist agenda?
He points to organizations like the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the European Union as potential actors in this system. He even discusses Donald Trump's role as a figure who challenged this globalist agenda.
Wow. So we're going from angels and demons to global power structures.
Yeah.
It seems like he sees a connection between these spiritual forces and the political landscape.
Absolutely. And this leads us to another really hot button topic, the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay.
Initially, Langan took the pandemic seriously. He even stocked up on masks and protective gear.
He did.
Yeah. But as the situation unfolded, he began to question the narrative.
What made him start to doubt the official story?
Well, he observed this lack of strict adherence to mask mandates in his rural community, coupled with relatively low death rates. And he contrasted this with the global push for a great reset of the economy and the speed at which vaccines were developed.
So that raised some suspicions.
Yeah, he was seeing this disconnect between what he was observing on the ground and this larger narrative being pushed by governments and media.
So what conclusions did he draw from that?
He became increasingly skeptical of the COVID-19 vaccines. Particularly their effectiveness in preventing infection and transmission. He viewed the push for widespread vaccination as part of a larger agenda to control populations and implement this great reset he'd been observing.
So he's tying this back to his concerns about globalism and the potential erosion of individual liberties.
Exactly.
So does he stop there, or does he go even further down the rabbit hole?
Well, this is where things get even more interesting. He starts to speculate about the possibility of hidden forces manipulating events and going beyond human actors to suggest the influence of something more.
Wait, is he talking about aliens?
He is. He believes in the existence of aliens. This view, informed by his conversations with individuals in the intelligence community who claim to have encountered extraterrestrial phenomena.
Wow.
He even shares his own experience witnessing a UFO.
Really?
A metallic elliptical object that defied conventional explanations.
Okay, so we got a highly intelligent, truth-seeking rancher who believes in God, a conscious universe. And aliens potentially manipulating global events.
It's quite a combination.
This is definitely not your average deep dive.
It's a perspective that challenges conventional wisdom and forces us to confront some really mind-bending possibilities.
Absolutely. And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
In part 2, we'll delve deeper into his thoughts on beauty, transhumanism, and the teleological economy.
It's going to be good.
Stay tuned.
So Langan's distrust of institutions, it goes beyond those earthly powers, right. The ones he sees pushing this globalist agenda.
Yeah.
He's also skeptical of these narratives surrounding technology and its role in our future, particularly the idea of transhumanism.
Transhumanism. So that's that idea of like transcending our human limitations.
Right.
Through technology. Right.
Yeah, like merging with machines, achieving immortality.
I can see how that might clash with his views on the natural order in a God-driven universe.
Exactly. He sees transhumanism as another attempt to kind of escape the constraints of reality.
Okay.
To reshape the world and even ourselves according to our desires, rather than accepting the inherent limitations of our human existence.
Like we're trying to play God.
Right.
Without even acknowledging the existence of God.
That's a great way to put it. And he draws this fascinating comparison between these transhumanist aspirations and Eastern spiritual traditions.
Interesting.
Like he argues that these wealthy elites pursuing immortality through technology, they're stuck in this pursuit of pleasure and power. They haven't even reached the level of dharma, fulfilling one's duty,
right?
Let alone moksha, the highest goal of spiritual liberation in Hinduism.
So he's basically saying they've skipped a few crucial steps.
Yeah.
In their quest for transcendence.
They're trying to take a shortcut.
So what's his alternative?
Yeah.
Does he think we should just reject all technological advancements?
Not necessarily. Langan's message isn't about retreating from the world.
Okay.
Or rejecting technology altogether.
Okay.
It's about engaging with it consciously and critically. It's about discerning what truly serves our well-being.
Right.
And aligning ourselves with what is good, beautiful, and meaningful.
So how do we make those distinctions?
Right.
Like, how do we know what's truly good and beautiful in a world that's constantly bombarding us with conflicting messages?
That's where his concept of the teleological economy comes in.
Okay, the teleological economy.
It's an idea that expands our understanding of value beyond those traditional economic measures. Like, he argues that truth, meaning, and beauty also function as currencies in this grander exchange.
So it's not just about money and material wealth.
Right.
It's about aligning ourselves with something deeper, something more purposeful.
Exactly. And this brings us back to his view on beauty.
Okay.
Which we touched on earlier.
Right.
He argues that beauty isn't subjective, just a matter of personal taste.
Yeah.
He believes there's an objective standard of beauty that's tied to this concept of teleology.
Okay.
The idea that things have a purpose, a design.
But isn't that kind of a slippery slope?
Right.
Like, who gets to decide what's objectively beautiful?
Right.
Isn't there a risk of just imposing one person's preferences as universal truths?
That's a valid concern, and it gets to the heart of this tension between traditional and modern worldviews. Langan sees this modern embrace of relativism. The idea that there are no absolute truths as a dangerous trend.
Interesting.
He believes that rejecting objective standards leads to chaos and ultimately undermines our ability to make meaningful choices.
So for Langan, beauty isn't just about aesthetics. It's about aligning ourselves with a deeper order, a cosmic truth.
Exactly.
But how does that play out in the real world?
Yeah.
Does he give any examples of what he considers objectively beautiful versus what falls short?
He critiques what he sees as the degeneracy of modern art. Particularly works that deliberately offend religious sensibilities. He contrasts this with traditional art forms that he believes reflect a deeper spiritual truth. He's especially drawn to classical music and architecture. Seeing them as expressions of this harmonious order that resonates with the underlying structure of reality.
So he's making a pretty strong statement about the decline of Western culture.
He is.
But some might argue that he's just clinging to outdated notions of beauty and morality.
Right.
How does he respond to those who might see his views as rigid or intolerant?
He doesn't shy away from addressing those criticisms. He sees this rejection of objective standards as a symptom of a broader cultural decline. This move away from truth and meaning in favor of instant gratification and self-indulgence. He even uses the example of Drag Queen Story Hour, arguing that it normalizes behaviors that go against the natural order and the biological imperative for human survival.
He's definitely not holding back.
Nope.
It seems like he sees this connection between the decline of aesthetic standards and the erosion of moral values.
Yeah, it's all part of this larger trend he's observing.
So what's the solution?
Right.
If Langan's right, what can we do to counter these forces?
He emphasizes the importance of individual choice.
Okay.
He believes that even in a world that seems dominated by these powerful forces, we still have the agency to decide what we value, what we believe in, and how we choose to live our lives.
So he's not giving us like a step-by-step plan, but more of a call to action.
Right.
Like a reminder that we're not just passive observers in this unfolding drama.
We have a role to play.
Right.
He encourages us to be aware of these forces, to resist being swept along by the prevailing narratives, and to actively seek out truth and meaning in our own lives.
So a more conscious, intentional approach to life?
Yeah.
One that's rooted in spiritual values and a commitment to truth.
Exactly. And he talks about the importance of nurturing our connection to God through prayer and seeking a personal relationship with the divine.
But he also seems to be critical of organized religion.
Right.
Specifically the Catholic Church.
That's right. He identifies as Catholic.
Okay.
But he expresses disappointment with the current state of the church.
Okay.
He's critical of Pope Francis's embrace of what he sees as leftist ideologies and his downplaying of traditional practices.
Yeah.
He views this as a betrayal of true Catholicism and another symptom of this wider spiritual crisis facing the West.
It's interesting that even in matters of faith, he's not afraid to challenge authority and stand by his own convictions.
He's a true independent thinker.
It seems like his commitment to truth trumps even his allegiance to institutions.
Absolutely. And this unwavering commitment to truth is central to his understanding of intelligence.
Okay.
He argues that true intelligence isn't just about accumulating knowledge or scoring high on IQ tests. It's about the ability to see the bigger picture, to connect the dots, and to recognize patterns that others might miss.
So he's talking about a more holistic kind of intelligence.
Right.
One that goes beyond just the intellectual.
Yeah.
And encompasses those moral and spiritual dimensions as well.
Exactly. And he believes that this type of intelligence is essential for navigating the complexities of our modern world. He even suggests that our current systems of education and media are actually hindering the development of this deeper understanding.
So how do we cultivate this more holistic intelligence?
Right.
If our institutions are failing us, where do we turn?
He doesn't offer a simple answer, but he encourages us to be skeptical of information that's spoon-fed to us, to seek out alternative perspectives, and to engage in critical thinking.
So being more discerning with the information that we take in.
Exactly. He emphasizes the importance of both depth and breadth of knowledge. Being able to focus intensely while also being open to new ideas and perspectives.
So finding that balance.
Right. He uses the analogy of a camera lens. Talking about the need to adjust both the magnification and the aperture.
Interesting.
To truly grasp the complexities of reality.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
Zooming in on the details while also expanding our field of vision.
It's about seeing the whole picture.
It seems like he's encouraging us to become more like him. Intellectually curious, independent thinkers who are willing to challenge the status quo. And forge our own paths.
And he provides a compelling example through his own life. He didn't follow that conventional path to success, but he carved his own way, driven by this thirst for knowledge and a desire to understand the deepest truths about reality.
It's really inspiring.
It is. He talks about how he was essentially canceled by academia for daring to challenge their materialistic worldview. But he continued to pursue his research and develop his theories independently.
That's a testament to his resilience. And his unwavering commitment to his own intellectual journey.
He didn't let them silence him.
But it also raises this crucial question.
Right.
If someone with Langan's intellect can be sidelined for challenging the prevailing dogma, what hope is there for the rest of us?
That's a sobering thought.
It is.
It highlights the importance of intellectual freedom. The ability to explore ideas openly and critically, without fear of censorship or reprisal. Langan encourages us to cultivate that intellectual independence, to be wary of narratives that limit our understanding or seek to control our thoughts.
He's reminding us that the pursuit of truth is a lifelong endeavor. It requires courage, critical thinking, and a willingness to question our own assumptions.
Absolutely, but it also sounds like a pretty lonely path. Is he suggesting we all become hermits and isolate ourselves from the world?
Right.
Not at all. He values solitude and deep contemplation.
Good.
But he also recognizes the importance of community and connection.
Okay.
He believes that we need to find like-minded individuals who share our commitment to truth and support each other on this journey.
So it's about finding that balance.
Exactly.
Cultivating our own inner compass.
Yeah.
While also connecting with others who can challenge and inspire us.
It's about finding your tribe.
But how do we even begin to find those people?
Right.
In a world that seems increasingly fractured and divided?
That's a question we'll explore further as we continue our deep dive into the mind of Chris Langan.
Right.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve into his thoughts on finding meaning in a seemingly meaningless world and discover what he believes is the ultimate purpose of human existence.
Can't wait. We've really gone deep, haven't we?
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
Into the mind of Chris Langan.
A lot of ground.
From his, unconventional life.
Yeah.
To those mind-bending theories about God, consciousness, the universe.
It's clear he's not afraid of those big questions.
No, he is not.
Not at all.
But in a world that often seems so obsessed with, superficiality and instant gratification.
Right.
Where do we find meaning?
Yeah.
Does he offer any guidance on that?
He does, and it's woven throughout his entire worldview.
Okay.
Remember his teleological economy?
Right.
It's not just this abstract concept.
Right. It's not just about money.
Yeah, it has real implications for how we live our lives and find meaning.
Right. So it's about those other currencies.
Exactly.
Truth, meaning, and beauty.
Those are the currencies that matter.
But how do we practically incorporate those, into our daily lives?
Well, he talks about the importance of aligning our actions with our values.
Okay.
It's about making choices that reflect what we believe in, even in those small, everyday moments.
So living authentically.
All right.
Letting our actions reflect our deepest convictions.
Exactly.
But for someone who's so critical of modern society.
Yeah.
Is he suggesting that we all, retreat from the world and become hermits?
Not at all. He recognizes the importance of community and connection. In fact, he sees it as crucial for navigating these turbulent times.
Okay.
He believes that we need to find like-minded individuals, people who share our values and support each other on this journey.
Right. So it's about finding our tribe.
Yeah.
Those people who challenge and inspire us to become better versions of ourselves.
Exactly.
But in a world that seems increasingly polarized and divided,
right?
How do we even begin to find those people?
That's a good question. Langan emphasizes the importance of open and honest communication.
Okay.
He believes that genuine dialogue, even with those who hold opposing views, is essential for bridging those divides and finding some common ground.
It's about having those tough conversations.
Yeah. And he also stresses the need for discernment.
Okay.
Being able to recognize those who are genuinely seeking truth from those who are just pushing an agenda.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act.
It is.
Being open to diverse perspectives while also staying true to our own convictions.
It's a lifelong practice.
But if we succeed, in finding that balance, what does Langan believe is the ultimate purpose of all this?
Okay.
This seeking truth-building community, aligning ourselves with these higher values.
This is where his CTMU and his belief in a conscious universe really come into play.
Okay.
He sees humanity as playing this crucial role in the evolution of the universe itself.
Wow.
He believes that we are co-creators.
Co-creators?
Participating in this grand cosmic drama where our choices have far-reaching consequences.
So it's not just about individual salvation.
Right.
Or finding personal meaning.
It's bigger than that.
It's about contributing to something much larger than ourselves, shaping the very fabric of reality.
Through our thoughts, actions, and intentions, he believes that the universe is evolving towards higher levels of complexity and consciousness.
Oh.
And humanity has this vital role to play in that process.
So our choices matter not just for ourselves, but for the future of the universe itself.
The stakes are high.
That is a profound thought.
It is.
So what does all this mean for us?
Yeah.
The non-geniuses who aren't, piecing together theories of everything in our spare time.
Our sheep wagons, exactly.
What's the takeaway for the average listener who's just trying to make sense of this crazy world?
Langan's message is ultimately one of empowerment.
Empowerment.
He's reminding us that we have more agency than we might realize.
Okay.
Even in a world that seems increasingly chaotic and uncertain, our choices matter.
They do.
By aligning ourselves with truth, beauty, and meaning, by cultivating genuine connections with others, and by engaging in honest, open dialogue, we can contribute to something much larger than ourselves.
Wow.
We can become active participants in the evolution of consciousness itself.
It's a call to action.
It is.
To step out of our comfort zones, challenge our assumptions, and embrace the mystery and complexity of existence.
It's not about easy answers.
No.
It's about the journey.
Langan doesn't offer easy answers, but he does provide this powerful reminder that we are not just passive observers, you know, in this unfolding cosmic drama.
We're in the game.
We are co-creators, and the choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the mind of Chris Langan, the question he leaves us with is this.
Okay.
What kind of world do you want to create?
It is a question worth pondering. And while we may not all have Langan's intellect, we all have the capacity for wonder, for curiosity, and for making choices that align with our deepest values.
That's the beauty of it.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep